Welcome to a Super Bowl edition of All Lacrosse Live. Obviously, it's AM and it's breakfast with the boys. With me, as always, I have got a very early woken up Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Thanks, guys. No, I'm doing good. Thanks, Gary.
Was it like 7 a.m. there or something like that?
Yeah, like that, yeah.
And over in Connecticut, I got Muffler Mike Kostiuk. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's just quite the weekend. I just got in from Rochester not long ago, it seems. That was a lovely drive back. Nothing like a good 3-hour overnight drive. But hey, we're here. We're live. We're interactive. Welcome. We got a lot of stuff on the docket. We have some milestones to talk about. We got ALL. We have a new women's champion in the West. We got some upsets in the East with the men. And we have a lot of NLL games to get onto. But before we do any of that, let's go on with the network stuff. And, of course, everything, all the shows are streamed across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on eopsports.com. Remember to subscribe, follow, and like, and always share. As you can see, we have plenty of shows for everybody. And you can see we're back to 9 p.m. as per usual next week again. If you've missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts and all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And you can go to the EOP YouTube page at EOP Sports and catch any of the lineup there. And if you're looking for our show in particular or our library, you can go to R1 at YouTube at All Lacrosse All the Time, in which you're also going to find retro games, press conferences, interviews, fights, all kinds of stuff up there and more coming all the time. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting eopsports.com with great articles from the huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. Just before we get on with our first ad, I just want to say Gong Hei Fat Choi to all of our Chinese affiliates, Hong Kong, Lacrosse, and everybody like that. Wish you a very happy new year, health and prosperity. And just a reminder that this part of our show is brought to you by Dolan's.
All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.
And you know they're going to be busy today because it is Super Bowl Sunday. By the way, Mike, who you got?
Gonna have to go with the 49ers.
I guess the shirt's no giveaway. I know your wife's a big 49ers fan, so yeah. Peace and tranquility is a lovely thing.
Yes.
Go Niners, go. Shawn, who you got?
It's hard to bet against Mahomes. I hate to say it, but yeah, I'll have to go with the Chiefs.
It's hard to bet against Mahomes, or is it hard to bet against Taylor Swift? For me personally, I think that the NFL, I'm sorry about the conspiracy theory thought, but you've got the biggest pop star on earth dating one of your top stars in football. And wouldn't you want that photo up of the MVP trophy in one hand of hers, the Super Bowl trophy in the other hand of hers, and her just smiling and bringing all pop culture to watch the NFL game? Why? For the 11 seconds that they're going to show her in the box jumping up and down.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't see
that's the prop bet right there. The over under. How many times?
How many
Swift on TV?
He's going to get on TV during these things. Companies pay billions of dollars for 30-second spots, and she gets probably 18 minutes worth of free time on there with introduction and background and everything else. So it's a pretty good life, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as much as my brain says pick San Francisco, my heart says pick San Francisco, my brain is going, I've watched the NFL do this nonsense before. We watched the Ray Lewis farewell tour. We watched the Peyton Manning farewell tour. I'm pretty sure that we can watch the Taylor Swift concert tour on this one. But I hope I'm dead wrong. conspiracy in football? No.
Oh.
Oh, Eduardo is with us. Oh, Dave's with us too. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave.
Maybe Dave can chime in on this one too. Dave, who you got? Dallas fan, who you got? Eduardo, good morning. Thank you for being with us. And Eduardo just doesn't think it's going to be close. He's watching it for the commercials. In Canada, we get to see the commercials in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we get to see the Canadian commercials dubbed over top of them. Isn't that great? The Ray Lewis going to break the charges to Love it. Hey, happy birthday to Muffler Mike on 214.
Hey.
Yes. Happy birthday, Muffler Mike.
Birthday, Mike.
Thank you.
That will be part of the part of the tour of the fan club. I'm sure the fan club is getting things together. There's a cake probably in the mail for you. Let's hope it doesn't go Canada Post because it'll be upside down by the time it gets there.
It might take forever too.
That's true. Yeah, just like it's
Might
if it's
come
going
next
to
year.
boot,
Yeah.
you might get it in time for I don't know, spring.
Yeah.
Oh, look, snow in Sean's backyard. We're not going anywhere.
We use the tractors to move the snow. Now we're back in the alignment. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We have a plan. Don't worry. There's a plan in place. And David's got KC and the points, even though it's 31-17 for KC. He's got the Taylor Swift tour also. Don't worry. I'm liking this, guys. There's actually some interest in it now for me because honestly, I don't care. But and then Eduardo's a Seahawks fan and doesn't really have a horse in the race. You're like the rest of us. The only one that has a horse in the race is Mike. Well, Stephanie. Actually.
Not really.
Happy wife.
Happy Argos playing now.
Right.
Oh, that's right. We just gave our best running back over to Saskatchewan. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
He'll be back here. Don't worry, because he's wrestling in Greektown Wrestling. So, AJ Ouellette will be still in Toronto. He just has to wear green. He'll probably wear green attire now when he goes in there.
There you go.
Nothing really made me, cringe more than, mid-season, and he's putting a guy through a table. I'm thinking, don't you have a game in 2 days?
Yeah, that's the last thing he needs.
That kind of makes me cringe a little bit. And, of course, in the finals, the Eastern finals, he couldn't play because he had a concussion. So that didn't help either.
No.
So, factors. Lots of factors. Anyways, let's get on to a couple of milestones before we go into the ALL. Jeff Teat on the news again with 300 career points. Boy, he just rockets. Every week it's something different with him and a different record for him. Pretty soon we're going to be talking about 1,000 career points for him because he's just incredible. Yeah. And when we talk about that San Diego, New York game, we'll talk about just the wizardry of Mr. Teat and his leadership there. It's just insane. But congratulations, Jeff, on 300 points. I'm sure that in the summertime we'll be talking about that in the PLL as well because he's just an absolute juggernaut. Here's one that's didn't seem to take that long. Chris Riglieri's got 1,000 minutes played. I guess being the number one goalie there now, though, 2,000 minutes isn't far away now either.
Yeah.
No.
It racks up quickly when you're doing 60 at a time and not just doing piecework. But he had a good first half. Second half was a little bit scary. Yeah. Callum Crawford in the news again. He is 9th all time on the scoring on goals. He had 480 goals now. Just behind Curtis Dixon, who's got 514, and just past Sean Evans on that list. Pretty good company to be in, I would say.
Oh,
yeah.
And by the looks of the way he's playing, he's still got a few.
He'll hit 500 before the end of the season.
Oh my God, he's looking younger now than he did 5 years ago, and he looked great 5 years ago. So pretty awesome. Another big one here is Tim Edwards for Colorado, 1,200 career faceoff wins. Did that kind of quiet with all the other fantastic faceoff men. The Nardellas and the Erlins and the Baptistes. He kind of goes under the radar, even the Max Adlers for that matter, but just completely under the radar. And very quietly, he's gotten 1,200.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him. Reeves is singing the national anthem. Over 90, under 90. If it's Reba McEntire, it could be over 90 just for her to say her name.
Yeah.
It was country and western night over in the Rock game yesterday, which is probably why I was happy to be in Rochester watching the Rochester Swarm game. Not a big country fan, sorry guys. Yeah. A lot of people had a good time there, though. Apparently, it was a great show. But again, why would you play into your competition? Isn't Calgary known for country?
Yeah.
Just like they're known for rodeo.
And you're
and
rock,
Western.
you're
And
rock
Vancouver
city,
having a
right?
Western night. That was silly. And of course, Calgary got up for that. And country night again in Toronto, and Calgary again got up for that. The thinking here.
And you're Rock City, right? You're
Yes.
rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had Monster Truck a couple of weeks ago. That was a pretty awesome concert, man. I was right into that.
Yeah.
And of course, the band was out of Hamilton, so they did a little extra oomph for that one. So that was a lot of fun. So, but last year's country one was pretty cool too, because he kept changing the words into lacrosse stuff. So he became a lacrosse fan, and he even followed me before I followed him.
Nice.
Kind of blew me away on that one. I'll tell you a guy who, just to get off topic a bit. When I was in Georgia yesterday, I had a conversation with John Arlotta, owner and GM of the Georgia Swarm, and talked for about 5 minutes with him. Really nice guy, and on point, very on point, and nothing gets by him. He may be talking about this, but you can see this. The mind is always working and sharp, and so anybody has any qualms or questions about the leadership in Georgia, don't. That's a really good tight knit team between Andy Secor, Sean Ferris, and Eddie Como as the coaching staff, as well as Alex Krepensak in there as well. Really, really well coached, and the team is very, very tight knit. As I knew already, but I saw a lot more of it yesterday, being in real close quarters for a while. Not to say that Rochester isn't, but they just have that little extra kind of family thing. It was good to see Miles Thompson on the floor also in warm-ups, taking reps, and that knee is slowly getting there, I think, but it's still got a ways to go, I think. But down the road, I'm sure we will see them all there before all the careers are over. But pretty cool stuff. Anyways, guys, to the Arena Lacrosse League, and the women in the West have a new champion. The Flying Squirrels are the new champion, so let's give a big congratulations to them. Pretty awesome. It was a pretty good game too, I think. They won 20-13, beating the Bears. Flying Squirrel goalie had a combination of 31 saves. The Bears goalie had 49 saves. So, wow, she got peppered.
Yeah.
And, 69 shots. That's a lot of ball, man.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Zach Higgins' territory, isn't it?
It is.
It's just like a Philadelphia Wings game, facing 69, 85 shots, That poor guy, man. I'm telling you, on the flights home, he must have to have he's sitting in an ice tub just for all the welts.
Yeah.
That's just, anyways. The East don't have a game until the 24th of. That's their next set of games. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be right on that. Going to the ALL men's, we have one game this afternoon, and that is the Toronto Monarchs are facing the Six Nations Snipers at 2 p.m. at the ILA. If you happen to be anywhere near there, that is definitely worth your time to go see. We had 3 games so far this weekend. We had Brampton with their second win in a row back on Friday nights at the Memorial Arena in Brampton, beating the Oswego Bears 16-12. So the Bears have had a rough little go of it for the last little while. I think that's 4 in a row that they've dropped. They started out so strong, and now they've just kind of fell right down. They're actually sitting in 7th in the power rankings right now, and waiting on seeing how Six Nations does this afternoon to make that final stay. Brampton is starting to move their way up. They're sitting in 6th and rapidly increasing. Yesterday afternoon at the Children's Arena in Oshawa, in the early game, the Whitby Steelhawks, who are number 1 in the league, faced the Peterborough Timbermen, and really the cream rose to the top. Peterborough's looked great so far this year in their rebuild year after losing all those players last year to PBLA. But the Steelhawks are just too powerful of a team. They beat them 16-8 in this one and solidify their spot as number 1 in the power rankings, while Peterborough is sitting there over in 5th, I believe. The second game of the docket that day was the Oshawa Outlaws and the Paris River Wolves in a battle of 2 versus 3. Oshawa came out on top in this one, 14-10 over Paris in a wee bit of an upset. And that brings a change in the power rankings. That moves Oshawa now into number 2 and putting Paris into number 3 in the power rankings. I told you guys, and some of the coaches there were a little bit skeptical at the beginning, but I told you, Oshawa has got too much talent that they will not be sitting in the bottom end of this power rankings for very long. And you've watched them move from worst to almost first right now as they sit in second. They are an awful good team. I would say even better than last year. And with the leadership of Joe Hiltz as their coach, really have some great lacrosse minds there. Ryan, we know you're on there as well. So they have some great coaches in there, and they are showing that they've bought into the system and they're playing well. And on top of everything, it looks like their defense is starting to play just as well as everything else in there, and they're going to be scary good. So this is going to be a great way to close out the season over the next couple of weeks into the playoffs. We had a couple of games in the West midweek this week, and that was the Grizzlies versus the Eagles at Langley, and the Grizzlies won 13-11. That was on Tuesday. And on Thursday, the Sea Spray faced the Blackfish, and they won 15-10. The Sea Spray did. And if we take a look at the standings, we will see that the Sea Spray is still in the lead with an 8-4 record. The Shooting Eagles are second at 7-5. The Blackfish are 6-6, and the Grizzly are coming up the rear at 3-9. So far in the ALL East, Whitby with an 8-1 record, Paris sitting in second with a 6-2 record, but Oshawa right on their tails with a 6-3 record. The Peterborough Timbermen 5-4. The Brampton Express, like I said, are starting to move upward. They're 3-5, but have won the last 2 games. The Toronto Monarchs play today. Let's see if they are able to hold on to their 5th spot in the rankings, or if they're going to jump to 6th. And the Oswego Bears lost 5 in a row right now, guys. That's a pretty massive losing streak. They are sitting at 2-6 right now. And the Six Nations Snipers still looking for their first win of the year at 0-7. Probably the most hard luck team in the league. They have 45 to 52 minutes of great play in a game, but those 8 to 10 minutes just absolutely do them in. And that's usually the difference of them losing a 1-goal game or a 3-goal game or something like that. So let's hope that they can right the ship. I expect this to be a heck of a game this afternoon. I would love to get out there, but like I said, I just got in from Rochester. I'm pretty sure that my family will kill me if I hop in a car and head outward towards Oswego in that hour-and-a-half drive. Oh, guys, I'm trying to avoid this. I really am. Pick'ems.
Why are you trying to avoid him?
As the guy who's in first. I feel like the Six Nation Snipers, man. I'm just, I look great until the 3rd quarter, and then I just Pat, how about Pat?
Pat a hell of a week.
He went 5-1 this week. In fact, if Toronto didn't cough up a furball and didn't take advantage of a Corey Small 5-goal evening, he would have been perfect this week. There's good old Gare, 3-3, good old 500 boy. Muffler and Shawn, both 4-2. Well, way to go, boys.
Hey,
Nicely done.
Week.
Nicely done. And Eduardo is with me at the 3-3 club. Looking at the year-to-date, Shawn is sitting there at 38-24. Pat is 35-27. Eduardo 34-28 on their heels. There's Gary trying to catch up to Muffler Mike at 31-31. Everything I do is 500. Very, very, very middle road. And Muffler Mike making his way up and probably going to pass me in the next 2 weeks. 29-33.
Who says I need 2 weeks?
That's true. The way I'm going, only 1 week. My 0-8 week is coming. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
It's okay. I probably need 3.
And Eduardo's talking about he's free falling. My. No, you're not doing so bad, Eduardo. We can always look at mine. Remember, somebody can be doing worse than that. Working with retro, I like to see that Shawn is wearing his stealth cap and his Edmonton Rush jersey.
Yeah.
I pulled out the Minnesota Swarm jersey just for fun. Love this thing, man. Love these retro things.
Awesome.
Mike has got his Curtis Conley Tucker out in the Foma jersey on his wall. I love
one of my 2.
That is a beautiful jersey, and that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very tasteful over there.
Yes.
But yeah. So that being said, blood all over the walls here with my pickings. I'm telling you, man.
I was waiting.
Eduardo's kind of busy. He's picking Vancouver and Colorado, and they keep doing them in. Yeah, I pick the Toronto games when they don't win. Yes, that's me. But it is what it is, right, guys? Moving our way into the NLL and our recaps. Our first game of the week was a Halifax victory, and I thought, on Friday I went 2-0, and I thought, this could be a great week. And then Saturday happened. Oh boy. Funny thing is, I picked Georgia, and then I went back and questioned myself. Always go with
never go with your first thought.
Always go with A, because B is usually wrong. But once again, if you want to make money, just take a look at my picks and bet against me, and you should be retired soon. Anyway, Clark Peterson leads with 3 goals, 3 assists as the Thunderbirds win their 3rd straight game. This was a really good game, guys. Vegas showed me a lot in this game, a lot more than I expect. They've been so inconsistent that I thought that, especially when Halifax got rolling with their 6-goal run, that this thing was just going to be a wash. And it wasn't. They did a lot of kicking, scratching, and fighting. But, the big one there was Shawn Wesley with his first NLL hat trick for Las Vegas, and Casey Jackson with 5 points in this night. The two of them looked fantastic. And with Rob Hellier leading, I think there's a lot of upside here. I don't think we see Vegas enough that we see exactly what's going on there, that this team really does have a lot of talent. And there's a lot of upside to it. Just to get things moving, Wake Red Bowhunter opened the scoring. Shawn Wesley then tied it up. Aaron Wood got the Thunderbirds back on the board, making it 2-1. Dylan Watson tied it up on the power play, making it 2-2. This was how the first quarter went. Banesh made it 3-2. Watson again 3-3. Then came the 6-goal run that just I thought was going to bury Vegas. With 2 minutes 41 seconds to go, Clark Peterson scored on the power play, followed by Woods again, and it was 5-3 at the end of the first. Cody Jamieson with just a gorgeous between the legs, one-handed goal that went low to high to the top corner. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sports
the
Center.
velocity even put on that shot to me was just
you look at things like that. How? And then, of course, Woods with his 3rd of the game. Peterson with his 2nd and 3rd of the game back-to-back. And it was 8-3. David Brock in transition. Welcome back to the lineup there with his first goal of the year. And it was 9-3. And this thing looked to be over. But only 6 minutes, 57 seconds left in the second quarter, lost to play. Shawn Wesley jumped into this game with 2 goals, at the end of the second quarter, and it was 9-5 at the half. Now, what, of course, would Vegas need? A good jump to start. Well, a good jump they got in the third with Kirsten Hellier scoring within the first 4 minutes of the third quarter, and it was 9-7 on their little 4-goal run. Cody Jamieson got another one with a minute left in the quarter, and it looked like they had stopped the bleeding at 10-7. In the fourth, Dawson Theed had 2 goals back-to-back in the first couple of minutes, and it was 12-7. And really, I thought at this point, see you later, Vegas. I would be wrong. Casey Jackson comes back with 2 quick goals, and Jack Hanna scores with a couple of minutes left, and it was 12-10, and they put on the pressure. But this had to be the best game I'd seen Warren Hill play this year. He was lights out in those last few minutes to preserve this victory. Now, we're going to do clips a little bit different this week because I had some technical difficulties. So we're going to work off the NLL Twitter feed. So bear with me with this. This should work fairly well. And here we go.
Up top. Swings over. Wesley on the run, shoots, scores!
And tough check one-on-one for defenders. And shows it off there, but Warren Hill makes a big stop.
Thanks, Bennett scores! Looking for the dunk was Hanna, but he ended up looping all the way, then was broken up. Crease crash there. And Watson's going to go back down with another this time. Elusiveness. Brock stays, plays. Moved over Woods. Quick 6 scores! Aaron Woods. Penalty kill over. Thunderbirds go back to work. Look at that magic from Cody Jamieson.
Like many nights on the NLL. So many benches.
As Quick Stick scores! Peterson makes the Desert Dogs pay. That forward quite well, Banesh. Peterson puts the head down, drives, shoots, scores! Clark Peterson.
Go up top, makes a great save.
Banesh out. Can they turn it around on a home run play? They can. Wesley scores! Having a big night for Vegas. Over the right shoulder of Hill. Hellier saves. 10 to shoot. Hellier bounces and scores.
He has been so good on the back check this year.
Rock off the bench to the side. Quick stick. Jamieson scores. Thunderbirds needed a boost. Possession for Halifax. Feed. Peers over. Shoot. Scores. The big man with the touch. But Griffin Hall shaking out the left leg. Thunderbirds 5 to shoot. At the side, he scores! Quick step from Feed, his second straight. Wagner up the floor, distributes. Oh, what a play! Tic-tac-toe, and Casey Jackson will finish it off. Been able to hang around, narrow the gap. Do they have enough left in the tank? Hellier alone. Rouet! Robbed by Warren Hill. His finest stop.
And that was your highlights from the Halifax game. I got to give kudos to the DJ in Halifax, man. I love the music they play there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot different than a lot of arenas because they put a lot of East Coast stuff in there as well. And, of course, their goal song is Heave Away, which we heard with Canadian Juniors for a couple of years ago. But, yeah, and he gets that building rocking, and all the fans are right into it. So, kudos to him or her or them, whomever it is. But they do a heck of a job. I always notice it, too, because I'm so used to hearing all the other songs in every other arena that something a little different to my ears is like, wow, cool. Just a couple of side notes on there. The shots on goal, Vegas was outshot Halifax 55-51. They also went 3 for 6 on the power play, while Halifax went 1 for 3. So, just looking at some of the notes in there, a lot of upside for Vegas, even though they came away with a loss. So, remember,
Yeah,
their win.
I think so. they're 3-5, but I mean, obviously had they won, they'd be at 500 right now. And
Also, their 3 wins have been against 3 of the top teams in the league. Let's not forget that.
they have. So it's just a matter of I think who's going to show up, and well, let's not discount that Landon Kells is probably facing a lot of rubber too.
Oh yeah,
over these games.
Yeah.
So much like we hear and talk about with Higgins in Philly.
right.
He's got to make a lot of saves to keep the Desert Dogs in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, I agree with exactly what you said, Gary. That the talent's there in Vegas. It's just a matter of putting it all together now.
And Sean Williams is a hell of a teacher. Just take a look at the Whitby Warriors organization and all the people that are around the NLL from that organization. So he will get his message across there. And, also remember that Reed Reinhold wasn't in the lineup as well. And that's a big piece that's not in there. I found it kind of interesting. I was chatting with Reed on Friday. He had texted me just before the game. It's like, shouldn't he be playing? And then it's like, yeah, he's not in the lineup. I was like, okay. Oh, you texted me from the bench.
Yeah, but Las Vegas definitely, I think, they're definitely not a pushover.
No,
it's really in this league.
No.
And for Halifax, I mean, now they're 5-3, and they've got a big double header coming up.
I've got a West Coast trip coming up at the beginning of the end of February, beginning of March, in which is Vegas for the Rock. It's Vegas and San Diego. That by no means is an easy trip for them. Both games are going to be grueling.
Yeah.
And Halifax, I think, is going to get. I think they've got Buffalo at home on a Friday, and then they've got at Calgary on a Sunday night. So that's going to be
rough.
An interesting doubleheader, but you could be looking at them at 7-3 in a week or two.
That's pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
All right, just before we get on to the Colorado game, just a reminder, this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Ticket Town.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.
Absolutely, and a lot of things coming up. And remember, you got Phillies games coming up. You have Flyers games still going on, Wings games, all kinds of things that you can get really great tickets at really great prices, let alone all the shows that are there on Broad Street over near the City Hall and the concerts that are over there, classical and others. So have a look at that and talk with Sherry's Tickets for your best deals. All right, guys, let's move on. And we had another game on Friday night, and that was, of course, Colorado visiting Panther City, and it was come as your favorite empty seat night over there in Panther City. Donville scores 2 goals, 3 assists, including a game winner to give Panther City the OT victory. What a game. This was just an absolute barn burner. I'm very glad I took the time and was able to watch the entire game because, man, every time you thought it was done, it was tied again. Just incredible.
Yeah. There's a crazy stretch in the fourth quarter with a bunch of lead changes. But the big news out of this one, breakout game for rookie Ryan Sheridan, 5 goals and an assist. He had a natural hat trick in the second quarter to put Panther City up. Colorado ends up tying it at 8 after 3, shutting out Panther City in the third quarter. But fourth quarter, the teams combined for 10 goals, and basically Colorado took a 9-8 lead early in the fourth, and then the teams alternated 2-goal runs 4 times to keep flip-flopping who was in the lead. But Will Malcolm scores with less than a minute left to force overtime, and then Jonathan Donville pots the game winner less than 30 seconds into overtime. So big win for Panther City. They're back up to 500, 4-4. If the playoffs were to start right now, I believe they'd actually be the 8th seed, taking on Albany in the first round game. So, and for Colorado, maybe a bit of a missed opportunity. They fall to 3-6 now. So they're one of the few teams that's already played half their schedule, along with Georgia and San Diego, I believe, as well as Vancouver and New York. To this point now, have played half their schedule. So,
what do you think is the missing ingredient there, Mike? Something in Colorado just isn't clicking when push comes to shove. Is it Ryan Lee? It can't just be that. He can't be that integral to the lineup that if he's not there, it just can't get over the hump.
And we've seen in the past, they can play without Ryan Lee.
They won a championship without him.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I'm a bit baffled by the transition game. And I know, Joey Capito's been in and out of the lineup with injuries, but I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing the same maybe kind of level of persistence in pushing the transition game, which I find strange because, you still have Gilly, you still have Jordan Gillis, you still have Robert Hope. You got some big guys who can move in Brett Craig and Sean Kriwakon.
The other thing that's coming to me is that in years past, Dylan Ward has been able to do the Matt Vince, steal a game here and there. I don't think he's costing them games, but I don't think he's stealing them games either. I think he's just average Dylan Ward this year. I don't think that knee injury is 100 or groin injury or whatever it was from the PLL is 100%. I just don't. I think at times he doesn't feel it or it feels fine, but I think at times it's still bugging him. It's the only explanation that comes into my head.
Could be. And
if we see at the end of the season he's going for surgery, then we know for sure. But
yeah.
But I just something he's not the Dylan Ward that I have seen over the last number of the years, who have been to the finals twice, won one, and almost stole one the second time around.
Yeah.
So it just things like that just kind of stand out. Well, thanks, Eduardo. Have a case of the yips. Somebody got to speak, right? More people chatting. He's on his game this morning. Eduardo, did you get some sleep last night? That's amazing. Anyways, why don't we, before Eduardo gets on me some more about chatting, we'll get to the clips.
Two-stepping, and you've seen it. His footwork on display tonight on his approaches.
Patrick Foley, one of the guys that actually lives here in the Texas area, and the goal scored by Colorado. Their city sets things up. Here's Jonathan Donville, last year's Rookie of the Year. The quick shot, low scores! Low, by the way, got the assist on that goal. Now Panther City again finds themselves knotted up. Shot, score! Didn't take long to reciprocate. Brian Sheridan, the big tough cookies each. Here is Sheridan. Sheridan, a big, strong body, works his way in, shoots, scores! That was pure strength. It's going. 15 to shoot, the spin move. Strength, scored again! Ryan Sheridan has the hat trick.
Pick game or the off-ball cuts?
25-year-old Zed Williams. He'll bring it across the timeline, set things up. McLaughlin, the pass, score! What a pass, though, from Eli McLaughlin. Kelly directs traffic. Gibson goes now, top of the key. Nice move. Great shot by Connor Kelly. He's got the hat trick tonight. Up again with Connor Robinson. The shot, score! The hesitation move set up Demuth. That allowed Dylan Kidder play. 0 for 2 so far tonight on the power play. And that changes with the flick of the wrist. Quick shot,
Ooh,
score!
there you go.
Will Malcolm, his second of the night. And again, Connor Robinson, near side. On the goal, score! Straight in on Nick Demuth. Zed Williams with his second tonight. Sheridan to come over and join Panther City. It was a good move for the men in purple. One-timer, score! And Colorado takes the lead on the power play. I thought so.
Inside pipe that rang off.
Malcolm had a good shot. Nice fake. The shot, score! Ryan Sheridan is fourth. It's left to play in regulation. The quick move, the shot, score again! Ryan Sheridan! Buddy, we need to go to Vegas tonight. It's to play. This is where Panther City, they want to play with the big boys. They got to beat the big boys, and they didn't on that. Good job by the one-timer. It's like he sets the pick. Stays up on top. Pass inside, score! With 2:15 to play in the ball game. What a play by Colorado. Donville, back to Malcolm, back to Donville. Malcolm looks, scores!
Shutting off Crawford from behind. So we're going to play 4 and 4 up top.
Crawford tried to see. What a goal! It wasn't the prettiest, but Jonathan Donville's goal will count.
Absolutely. Tell me, how many of you thought this game was over when they scored with 2 minutes left? Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I
And
thought.
lo
Yep.
and behold,
Yep. I was getting ready to put the article together, which will be coming out a little later today, and it was Panther City, another one that got away, but
wow,
it's
talking
great.
about staying power, eh?
Yeah, statement, and a lot of the multi-goal scorers on both sides, all of them digging into their bag of tricks, finding different ways to put the ball in the back of the net. That's what I, just from the highlights, you watch some of Connor Kelly's goals, every goal is scored in a different way. Sheridan, you've talked about how you've had discussions with Johnny Shooter Davis, about how he kind of laments the loss of the one-on-one, the kind of isolation where, hey, you beat your defender and you got a good chance of scoring, rather than, kind of that community approach. And you saw Sheridan in that natural hat trick, twice pretty much bull rushes his defender and get by him to be able to make those goals happen. So.
Yeah, Sheridan had a great game, and they interviewed him at the half, and he was talking about very, very mild mannered guy too, and sure enough he has this monster game. So, yeah, kudos.
No, but I think that team is they're buying into Coach Tracy Kelusky's philosophy, and they know they've got nothing's going to be given to them. They've every game needs to be a statement game for them right now.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to Demuth. If he plays well, they have a great shot of winning.
Absolutely.
But he's still not at that stage of complete consistency where every now and again you get those games where it's just, whoa. So they have that to overcome. But he's getting there. It's a lot more consistent than it was.
Yeah.
And that comes with, I guess, the minutes he's putting in. All right, let's move over. We're going to go to the Toronto-Calgary game, and this was the back end of the home-and-home series in which the Roughnecks faced Toronto in First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. Shawn?
Yeah, and Calgary came up on the positive side in this one, 11-10. A little bit of shocker, I think. I didn't think anyone really saw that one coming.
Especially the way it happened.
Yeah.
Hey, birthday boy's with us. Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Patrick.
birthday, Pat.
Welcome.
Yeah, they just couldn't find an answer for Christian Del Bianco. Del Bianco had 44 saves. Like they peppered him with shots. Yeah, and Gary Cavaliers, there's points too where I found that they were trying to shoot from the outside again, and they were finding when they got their success, it was coming from the inside. But again, they're just
It's a weekly thing, isn't it?
yeah.
The big thing I think here, Shawn, is also the end of the second quarter. You're playing for the final shot. Second quarter, end of the first quarter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first quarter, yeah.
Playing for the final shot. And there's a reason why you don't move until 10 or 9 seconds in, is so that you don't allow the other team, if you miss, an opportunity to score. Well, they took a shot with about 8 or 9 seconds left on the clock, missed. Calgary went down the floor with Del Bianco screaming at his team to shoot. And sure enough, Robert Hudson gets his first goal of the year into almost an empty net with Tom Schreiber trying to protect it on his knees.
Yeah.
And it's little things like that turn the momentum around. And those are the ones that catch you at the end.
It was. Then where did Toronto go in the third quarter? That's very unlike the Rock to get shut out like that.
Yeah. Obviously, the changes that were made on Calgary worked, and Toronto did not adapt to any of the changes, which is odd because Calgary was leading 6-5 at the half, right, to make those kind of changes. And really, Calgary did what they did the week before, only with more success, was their transition game.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a couple of weeks ago before too, when Kostiuk was talking about going 1-for-1. Again, that turning point where Hudson scored with 1 second left, they kind of just went 1-for-1 for the most part in the second quarter. They did get that 2-goal run with Lintner and DeSnoop, but for the most part, they couldn't grab any momentum.
Yeah, no, Corey Small, that was their offense. The rest of them were kind of silent. Even Mark Matthews with a couple, but nothing really of any substance. Mike, hold your nose.
Oh boy.
There it is, yeah.
Plenty of season left. Plenty of season.
Good for you, Patrick. As I sit on the bottom looking up going.
I'll remind Pat who's in first place right now.
But people will blame Nick Rose for this thing, but really, I don't think that there's one or two, but there's always one or two. But again, Patty Campbell made a really good point a week or two ago when somebody was saying, should they pull Rose? I think it was in the Buffalo game. And he may let one or two in at the beginning that are kind of questionable, but down the stretch, it's not going to happen. And this is another case in point, is this could have gotten away. I think when it was 10-6, it could have gotten away very quickly. And again, Toronto battling back.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, they got that 3-goal run right at the end there with Martin, Small, and Matthews. They still had over 3.5 minutes to try and tie that game. So they were not out of it by any means.
Yeah. And then, of course, the Christian Del Bianco factor comes in, and, that's that.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at some of the highlights in this game.
Extra time out there for Calgary. Cook going to King. He plants, shoots, scores. Puts it past the far side of Rose, who's not happy, but he picked right back out. Schreiber starting to settle in this season. And now he's on the back check, but the Roughnecks capitalize. 3-on-1 with Matthews. Over the top, Small scores! He used Matthews as the high screen here. And they'll find the back of the net, Robert Hudson. Despite a strong effort there from Schreiber, who setting this one up. Matthews, point blank scores! Mark Matthews delivers a power play goal. Pace, who has a goal, finds King, stopped by Rose. And Cree looked like he had the second chance, but no, Hayden Dixon goes over the top. What a hard-working goal. Budge. Hogarth had lots of space to try and pull that one off. Snow! What a goal!
Calgary coaches will not like that.
Del Bianca, that one comes all the way up the floor. Here comes Simpson, shoots, scores! Shane Simpson, the Hamilton boy. Run out of space and ran it right into the stick of Zach Currier, who moves it into the middle.
Oh, nice.
And the Roughnecks score. Robert Hudson into the middle, Bushi, and a stop by Del Bianco. And here go the Roughnecks again in transition. Matsusoka scores.
He's thankful it hit the post.
Josh Currier swims to the front, shoots, scores, down low, beating Rose, out of the corner, and it just whizzed right by the Toronto net. Salvaged by the Roughnecks, outside shot, how did he bury that? King put it in from long range. And
Cup, and I thought, this is just a proud dad. They don't even have a junior A team, and sure enough, it was that group. Josh Sanderson, Rusty Coogan again.
And they're going to be they're going to be a little happier now because and responded to that save. Looks a little ginger in the crouch. Small scores! Back to back from Small in Toronto. Tyler Pace looking for an opening. Out in front, they score! The Roughnecks work it in their favor. Schreiber, Rogers, Matthews, Small, scores! It's his night! And he's got 5. Matthews has some room, scores! No doubter from Mark Matthews.
All right. So Toronto drops their second of the year, and things tighten up again. Interesting, eh? All righty.
Yep, and it makes for interesting weekend next weekend when they go to Laval to take on the Riptide.
Yeah.
So
Red Hot
I mean, that is that is going to be a huge game for both teams. So
I would say so. All righty. We're going to move on to the Georgia game, in which, of course, 14-12 was your final. You know, before we really get into anything in there, I got to say, you know, we're talking about attendance from all these places, and Rochester has been notorious for having not a lot of attendance since the new team has come in there. It was a loud, pretty busy building. I would say between 6,000 and 7,000 last night for the Swarm and Rochester game, and they were treated to an absolute, shall we say, slobber knocker of a game. Yep. It was just a spectacular game. But you know, the big thing that I found with Rochester is slow starts in either half, and this was no different. For this game, before it started, well, just after it started, they're already down 2-0 in the first couple of minutes, and things aren't looking good. In fact, that whole first half, it was counterpunch. Every time they got something together, Georgia had the answer. Seth Oko opened up the scoring, followed by Brandon Bombery for the 2-0 lead. Austin Hazen got a beauty goal just to get it back to 2-1. But then Brian Cole, with just 6 seconds left in the quarter, makes it 3-1. You're going to hear his name a lot in this because Brian Cole had 5 goals in this game. It's funny because at the half, Andrew Q had 3 assists, but the best was yet to come when we get into the second. Opening up the second quarter, Lyle Thompson on the power play. You probably hear more of him, but they had him bottled up pretty good last night. He only had 1 goal. That was it. Rochester woke up at this point. Ryan Smith and Ryan Lansbury went bang, bang, about a minute and a half apart, and it was 4-3. Brian Cole with a power play goal made it 5-3, followed by Shane Jackson with an absolute beauty, which made it 6-3. Thomas McConvey, there's another name you're going to hear a lot. First overall pick from 2 years ago, showing why he was that pick. Just an absolute stalwart horse out there. He really is making himself known, even off ball. He's a big body, in good shape, and really can open up the lanes for guys. It was 6-4. Brian Cole again before the end of the half made it 7-4. And again, Georgia looked like they had this thing well in hand. Rochester didn't have many answers in that first half for the Swarm. Coming out of the intermission, Andrew Q scored 2 quick goals. The first one just 56 seconds in. The second one on the power play a couple of minutes in, and was 9-4. And this looked like it was going to be a runaway. Austin Hazen got one back on the power play about a minute later, and it was 9-5. But Brian Cole again in transition scored to make it 10-5. Cue the Rochester comeback. They wound up scoring, I think it was 7 of the next 9 goals, and made this a game. Connor Fields scored to make it 10-6, followed by Kyle Waters with a dive from behind the net. Now, he's a big guy and a big body. For him to dive from behind the net, that's like a freight train coming at you, and caused a lot of havoc in front, needless to say. But the thing made it in, and it was 10-7. McConvey scored again, and it was 10-8, and things started looking a little bit iffy on the Georgia bench, and the building was starting to come to life. Jordan McIntosh scored on a goal that was reviewed just to see if he was in the crease, and it took forever for them to look at all the angles just to make sure, because it was on a breakaway. Brian Cole fed him, and they thought maybe he had his foot, but it was deemed out of the crease to the side, and away they went. It was 11-8 at the end of 3. Thomas McConvey again with a goal made it 11-9 to start the 4th. Andrew Q made it 12-9 and gave them a little bit of breathing room. And again, cue the comeback. Ryan Lansbury made it 12-10. Ryan Smith on the power play with about 6.5 minutes in made it 12-11, and things really were rocking inside the Blue Cross Arena. Then the roof came off the place. Ryan Smith scored 2 minutes later unassisted, and this game was tied. All the momentum going towards Rochester. Riley Hutchcraft looking great in the second half, in that just completely stifling the Georgia offense. Enter the last 6 minutes of the game, in which both teams had a goal called back. Both goals were reviewed, and both were deemed no goal. And enter the final 35 seconds, and Georgia comes up with final place. Lyle Thompson, doing what Lyle Thompson does, over to Brandon Bombury, who saw Andrew Q in close. You made no mistake. So with 24.8 seconds left in the game, Q gives Georgia the lead, 13-12, on a beauty goal. And with the goal he pulled, Brian Gold got his 5th goal of the game into an empty net with 4 seconds left, and there you had it. Your big scorers. Of course, Brian Cole, 5 goals and 2 assists. But really, the biggest one there was Andrew Q, 4 goals in the second half to go with his 3 assists in the first half. Just an absolute spectacular game from Q. Lyle Thompson, quietly with a goal and 4 assists. But boy, when you look at him, he's always moving and always drawing the coverage, which opens up the floor. Shane Jackson didn't have the Shane Jackson-esque night, but that didn't matter. You had other guys working and moving things around. Brendan Bombury had a monster game. He had a goal and 3 assists, but was able to do a lot, big body again, able to do a lot of movement in front, opening up shooting lanes. It was, again, really great to see Miles Thompson in the pregame, so hopefully we'll get to see him soon. For Rochester, big games, Ryan Lansbury with 2 goals and 5 assists. Connor Fields, not a Connor Fields-esque night, but again, a goal and 8 assists. He was the quarterback to everything going on out there, and doing about 1,700 miles running back, forth, around, and just trying to find the empty lanes, because the Georgia defense is quietly under the radar, but very, very solid. They don't get pulled away from their duties too often. Sean Ferris has got them rolling real nice. Ryan Smith with 3 goals and 3 assists with another monster game. And, of course, Thomas McConvey with 3 goals and an assist. Big in net, Riley Hutchcraft. Didn't face a lot of shots, though, 41 shots, 13 goals. Kind of a tough day at the office in that first half. For the Swarm, Brett Dobson, 47 saves in this one on 59 shots. He was stellar for a good chunk of it, especially down the last 6 minutes when all the momentum went towards Rochester. On the power plays, 4 for 5 for Georgia and a shorthanded goal. That was a difference maker in this game. 3 for 8 for Rochester. They just couldn't convert. If we take a look at the highlights.
Hazen out of Fields. Down the near boards. Fakes the pass. Curls away from one in front. The shot, he scores! Austin Hazen. Scoops it up. He's got a man on the back post. That's Jackson. Looking, feeds it across the shot. He scores. Lyle Thompson buries it, and it is now 4-1. Then runs into Camizia. One hands it behind the net. The dunk attempt. Smith scores! And that one is gobbled up. Picked up by Liam Burns. Now fed in front. The shot, he scores. Shane Jackson. Low to Hazen. Back across now to Fields. Cutting up top. Fields got a lane. Feeds it over to Smith. Driving in. Across the shot. Hit the crossbar. Follows up and scores. McConvey.
Make that pass. They've got to get it faster.
Over now to Q. Driving in on goal. Scores.
Side to side and see if they can get him out of position.
Fields over to Smith in front of the net. The shot, he scores. Austin Hazen buries it.
Excellent power play.
Cole's got it. Now over to Oakes. Fed across now in front of the net. The shot, he scores.
Ryan Cole again.
Finally corrals it behind the net. The dunk attempt, and he scores. Waters. Feeds it in front. Smith shoots, misses wide. The follow-up. Oh, what a save. Rebound. He scored.
That's got to be
Ryan Smith ties it. L. Thompson spinning. Still has it. Flips it in front to Bomberry. Bomberry in front to Q. The shot, he scores. Q got open and buries it.
And that was your game. The funny thing is, every time they show the corner, I see myself taking pictures. If you want to see a lot of really great pictures, go onto our site at All Across All the Time on Facebook. I got about 75 or 80 really great shots of this game, action shots. So please feel free to share them or take them or do whatever you like with them. But yeah, there's some fantastic action shots of just how great a game this was. It was a feisty game, guys. There was a lot of spirit. Military Appreciation Night there as well. A lot of feist in there. So it's a fantastic evening, and they really put on a really great show there in Georgia or in Rochester. So if you have a chance to get out to the Blue Cross Arena, do. It is a fantastic evening, and it's not an expensive evening as well. So please, by all means, I love it out there. I look forward to going back again March and April for a few more games there, plus playoffs with any luck.
Yeah, well, that may be coming into question now. I mean, they've dropped their
Well, they're
fifth
on a
straight
4-game
after,
skid now, right?
Fifth
5-game
Yeah.
skid now.
After starting 3-0.
Yeah.
They've dropped their last 5. And for Georgia, now you played more
5-3.
games than anyone else. You're 6-4 after 10 games.
Yep.
The last 5 of your remaining 8 games are at home, and that includes the rematch with Rochester in the season finale. So you got to be feeling pretty good about yourselves. And I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, we discussed, where Georgia needed to be before that 5-game homestand. And I think we pretty much thought, 9-4, 8-5 would be pretty good. And they look like they're on pace to be around where we think they're going to be.
That's an interesting question, Mike. Time to get rid of Hazen. I don't know. You got a coach that's got over 100 wins in the league. He is a staple in Rochester. His son's one of the stars on the team. I don't think it's the offense. I think it's the slow starts and the defense. And I also think having Rylan Hartley hurt really put a crimp into this year's plans. Because who was the backup to Hutchcraft? Doug Buchan. That's the backup.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing, Gary. I think that's the big thing is when your starter's out, and take nothing away from Hutchcraft, but when your starter's out, that can make a big difference.
Yeah, like by no means do I think Riley Hutchcraft had a great night last night, but he did have some really big saves when it really mattered. And the goal to beat him by Q, he wasn't stopping that.
Yeah.
That was a breakdown in defense where Q was able to get through and score. And that's what Andrew Q is known for doing, is putting those ones in. And if you're going to leave him alone 5 feet outside, he's going to score every single time. And injuries, yes. The last 2 years, that's been the big thing with Rochester. Last year, if you remember when they started 5 or 6-0, and all of a sudden had huge injuries, and their transition game went south, and the defense went south, and a few other things went. And then they finally got it back on track, and of course they ran into that hot Buffalo team that just destroyed everybody in the playoffs, and you really can't do anything. But you make another good point. Coach has been out. That's huge.
Coach, Knight's been out. Turner Evans has been out. So that's it's
been a revolving door.
Yeah.
And the defense as well is all kinds of trouble, just gelling. And of course, with Hutchcraft back there and not Hartley, you have a whole different style of a goalie back there that you have to adjust to. And for most of the game, great, but there are points there where you expect maybe the Hartley kind of save, but it's Hutchcraft there, and you're not in sync with your goaltending. Maybe you're not doing the switches that he's calling, and again, that leaves guys open. And being where I was situated, which was on the one corner, which gave me a great vantage point of the inside the transition line, inside the restraining line, and up the floor, and watching how this all works. You could see where things were discombobulated at times, and it just works that way. Again, I don't think it's coaching. I don't think that's the issue, and I don't think a coaching change. Now, who are you going to get? Who are you going to get that's better than Hazen right now? Who's out there? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So
it's tough because probably mid-season you're looking internally. Because mid-season you're probably looking internally until the off season.
And who's going to step up there?
Yeah,
your offensive coordinator's new, right? And you got Patty O'Toole doing the goaltending and a lot of the defense.
Yeah, I guess I would ask: do you think they need the same kind of reaction from Mike Hazen that Vancouver was getting from Kurt Malosky 2 weeks ago?
It's possible. I don't think that's Mike Hazen's style.
Or is it another way around, like what you said, Saskatchewan? Maybe it's a coordinator that goes, an assistant coach that goes, just as a wake-up call.
And Brian Cole's with us. Hey, thanks, Brian. Yeah, some excellent games. But yeah, you're right, Shawn. You're right. It just, I just don't think that's that's the answer. And Hazen's not one to be screaming up and down. That's not him. Never was.
Yeah.
Never's going to be. But is he intense? Yes. If you look at his press conference, which is on my article, you'll see that he's succinct to the point. But again, was this? Can you blame the refs? Hell no. They had a great game last night. They stopped a lot of things. That thing could have run out of control quickly because, like I say, it was feisty and tempers were running, and they weren't overzealous with penalties, but they were able to diffuse situations quite a bit. It's always funny watching Josh Hiltz, who's the smallest ref out there, jumping in between these guys. He is fearless. He has no problem jumping in between these guys. And Josh is a friend of mine. He actually messaged me before the game going, I hope you don't chirp me too bad. Dude, I'm usually backing your calls. It was good to see him after the game, too. All the guys just big smiles because they had a hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately, for Michael who commented, maybe we're just catching maybe their bad stretch of the season. We've already seen the Riptide start 0-3, and now they're above 500. We've seen other teams slide, like Halifax losing 3 straight, and now they look like they're like nothing ever happened the first part of the season.
Yeah.
So they're not that far out of a playoff spot. Time is running out. You can say we are at the halfway point of the season. Though I don't believe we're at the halfway point of total number of games played. So, I think you still have a few more weeks where you can kind of have a mindset of there's still enough season left that we can turn this around and that we can make a push for the playoffs.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody's out of it right now. Even on the bottom, I don't think they're out of it. Just the way this thing is set up, and everybody has their own little losing streak in there. Isn't Bert? It's the season. Interesting. I just think that again, this Rochester team, they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league. If they can reel in their defense, you're going to start seeing them blow out teams. But it's about the defense and goaltending getting on the same page. Again, following along with the switches that Hutchcraft is calling. Sure, understand. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Anyways, let's move on, guys. We have the in my opinion, the upset of the week. We have the San Diego New York game. And it didn't look like this through most of the game, did it?
No, not at all.
In fact, when I checked, it was something like 7-2 or something like that at the half, and it's just like, what the?
Yeah, 7-2 at the half. But San Diego offense, disappeared. But maybe you have Cam Dunkerley to thank for that. Dunkerley made 52 saves on the night, and basically held the Seals to 1 goal in the second half, and shut them out in the fourth quarter.
And so if anybody has any questions about Dunkerley,
I mean, this was a big statement. I think that Cam Dunkerley's ready to be the guy in net for New York. Allowed the Riptide to slowly climb back into the game. Yeah, I mean,
just an obscene second half.
I mean, I kind of felt like it was over at halftime, and coming out of the gate in the second half, the Riptide did cut the deficit to 3 pretty short order. Then Austin Stotts netted his hat trick goal, and at that point it's 8-4, and you kind of think, okay, well, not sure the Riptide can pick up, enough momentum to catch up with San Diego, or that they might end up, playing back and forth, goal for goal, which won't help their cause. But
I think that's the thing is me learning my lesson, not picking Albany, right?
maybe we all have lessons to learn like that. So
Yeah.
with certain teams. But Jeff Teat took over in the fourth quarter. Ended the game with 4 goals, 3 assists. Connor Kernan had a pair and 2 assists. Kyle Matisse, Riley O'Connor, Mitch Wild, Damon Edwards all had a goal. For San Diego, some of their guys showed up and some guys didn't. Stotts had 3 and 2. Dixon had a pair and 2 assists. Berg 1 and 3. Doby 1 and 2, but pretty quiet, mostly from everywhere else. Other than Trey Leclerc had a nice sequence where I believe he took a shot, picked up a loose ball to get a reset, and then worked his way to score a goal. But
here's my question to you, Mike: is there a nice restaurant or bar around the arena
where NYCB Live?
Yeah, where they were, yeah, where they played.
I'm sure there's plenty.
I'm pretty sure that's where the San Diego team went.
I was going to say is we all thought it was over at the half, and so did San Diego.
Yeah, half of them went to the airport already. They're ready for a flight. That's I don't remember a turnaround like that. That's severe in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings me almost back to the Vancouver game of last year, where it just absolutely the roof fell in. Yeah. And in a sense, that's what happened here.
And there's way, way, way too much talent on that Seals team for something like that to happen. Way
1 goal in the second half?
Yeah.
And it being Stotts? Yeah.
And you're talking about the numbers. I mean, 3 points, that's not Dane Doby-like numbers. Even 4 points from Curtis Dixon, that's not Curtis Dixon-like numbers.
No, Kyle Jackson also. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not really anything going on there. Anyways, let's watch the highlights and see where all this went right or wrong.
First man advantage opportunity for the Seals, and they cash in. It's Dane Doby who ties it at 1. Quid. It's in the stick of Drew Belgrave. Now Stotts goes for goal and puts it in. 1.8 to play, and Stotts
noseworthy. He started running the other way. He didn't realize that was the case.
Quick stick. Berg buries it. And it's 3-1 San Diego by Jay Thorenberg. Now it's Dixon up top. Oh, what a snipe. Dunkerley, Jackson with an acrobatic attempt off the crossbar. Now Edwards feeds Teat, and that's too easy for one of the best in the league. Out of play. It's a fresh 30 for San Diego. Stotts buries it. His second of the night. Makes it 6-2 Seal.
Let's make sure someone's always getting back, so we're not giving the the Riptide any opportunities in transition as Curtis Dixon becomes a member of the 2-goal club of the night.
To Teat. Drop the pass. Recollected quickly. That's the 7th power play goal of the season for Kyle Matisse.
Callum Jones making his presence known to Kyle Jackson.
Stotts unloads a flamethrower and singes the back of the net. Teat off the Edwards screen. String music. Wide open off the pipe. Teat to O'Connor. This time he puts it in. Riley O'Connor.
Now call. He avoids it with some excellent balance.
Teat to Kiernan, gets it back. One-timer is true. Jeff Teat finds Twine for his third of the night. But he makes up for it in his competitive spirit. Teat ties it at 8. Jeff Teat. It's in the hands of their all-pro Jeff Teat. He finds Connor Kiernan, and there it is. Kiernan gives the Riptide the lead. Another save made by Dunkerley. We're in the final minute. Teat ahead to Edwards, all alone. Edwards scores!
And there you have it. The highlights or lowlights, depending on who you're cheering for. I'm amazed, I'm amazed at the half differences. And just, what do you guys think about these Marvel jerseys?
Oh, I thought they were amazing. So anyone in any of the areas, if you can get out to the superhero night, whatever your home team is, get out there because those jerseys are amazing. And we'll see the Vancouver ones shortly, which I thought were even better than these.
Yeah, I was going to say
I wasn't a huge fan of this one, but I like the Vancouver one.
I was going to say I love the Vancouver one, but yeah, the New York one, I felt it's kind of like the meme with the 3 Spider-Men pointing at each other.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I like the one in Rochester. It was Military Appreciation Night, and the military jerseys that they have up for auction look pretty sharp as well. But
yes.
I'm waiting for the, obviously for the Rock one to see. I've seen them do the superhero night before, and they look pretty cool. But not my cup of tea, really. I like the retro ones.
Do we have any idea what the Toronto ones might be?
I haven't seen it yet. No, nothing yet.
I wonder if they're going to be modeled after the Thing from the Fantastic Four.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
it'd be pretty sweet.
I really hope that there's something of a little different. Just everything is so cookie cutter that I'd really love to see something a little bit cutting edge on this one too. But again, they're working with Marvel, so there's only so much they can do, right? So
right.
Yeah.
But anyway, just before we get to our last game to recap, a reminder: this is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
Absolutely. And again, with a lot of things coming up, they have trips to Clearwater for the Phillies spring training, which is opening up real soon, about a week or two, and people are reporting be games in a couple of weeks' time for Grapefruit League, which is interesting. It's hard since we really haven't had much of a winter over here. A couple of weeks of cold, but nothing really. So for spring to be around the corner, okay, I'll take it. Feed me more of that 70-degree weather you've been giving me this last week. I'll take that. Suntan in February. I like it. All right. We have one last game to look at, and that is the Saskatchewan-Vancouver game, in which Saskatchewan comes away with yet another victory. Keenan Patrick leads the Rush to a second straight win.
You think the Derek Keenan effect is happening behind the bench?
It certainly works that way. They've seemed to right the ship, eh?
I mean,
no goofing off now.
Again, another interesting stat: 6-0 when Keenan and Quinlan are co-coaching. 6-0. So we got those two minds behind the bench, and this was an interesting.
Hardly a fluke, eh, Shawn?
No, not a fluke at all. Not if we go 2 in a row, now they're right back in the mix, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can get in the schedule later because you get momentum now and they're going back on another bye week. But anyways,
And down the stretch, they're going to play 6 in a row or 7 in a row and be panting when it comes time for playoffs if they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet when they get momentum, bye week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, pretty crazy first half though. I mean, no one really kind of was really able to grab any momentum. I don't think anyone had more than a 1-goal lead. I think there's several lead changes throughout. Really, I think the turning point was all the way into the fourth quarter. Mike Mallory was in for a cross-checking penalty, and Clark Walter scored. It was about 3 minutes and 6 seconds into the fourth quarter on the shorthand. So that's the Russia's league leading 9th shorthanded goal.
Wow. That
gave the Russia a 2-goal lead and started a 3-goal run with Walter Kostiuk and Walter again on the power play. And that put the Rush up ahead by 4 at that point. Another interesting coaching call, I thought, and they brought up in the broadcast, and I thought it was genius, is with just under 9 seconds left, Vancouver was called for too many men. And so that gave the Rush a penalty shot, and they gave the ball to Patrick Dodds, who's really had a rough year. I think they were really expecting more out of him. So for the coaching staff, I think to give him that ball and say, we trust you, go out and get it, was just a genius coach move. And he did to get that 13th goal.
Also, with just a few seconds left, 9 seconds left, and a lead, even if he missed, there's no pressure on him.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and do what you do. Don't get in your own head. And it's a great, like you say, genius move to have him start working his way out of whatever slump it is he's in.
Exactly.
Really good thinking on their part.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a small thing, but I think they just got to get Patrick's confidence back, right?
Especially when we start talking about him in the next few weeks, scoring more and more and more, we can actually pinpoint it to this particular move here that got the ship righted.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the interesting thing too. Like Robert Church only had 2 goals and assists for 3 points. Zach Mans only had 3 assists. It was the other guys like, Dodds had 4 points. Clark Walter had 2 goals, 2 assists. As you mentioned, Ryan Keenan had a great game with a hat trick and 3 assists. It was a collective effort, and even Keenan Bell got in on the goal scoring with a pair of goals too. The guy's just kind of in the lineup right now with Holden Garland out. He's kind of holding his own.
What do you think is the thing to put your finger on for Vancouver now? Is it Bold? Is it defense in front of Bold? Is it, again, like we were talking with Rochester, the discombobulation of the defense and not doing the switches that he's calling? Is there something there that we're not seeing, you think?
That's a great question.
I was going to say maybe the offense just isn't getting the runs they need to get.
No, like they didn't really get anything of any runs, really. I mean, I was going to look at the score sheet again here, but they had I don't think they had any more than a 2-goal. They had a 2-goal run in the second quarter, 2-goal run in the first quarter, but nothing more than a 2-goal run.
Yeah, because the guys who are supposed to be doing it are silent. So we really.
Well, that's the thing, I guess, 13, let's take away the penalty shot for a second, 12 goals. I mean, not great, but not horrible.
I mean, it's around league average, so.
Yeah, but if your offense is coming up with 9 goals.
Yeah, you're not going to be winning many games if you don't get scored double digits in this league.
No.
But 47 shots faced, 13 goals average. Again, he's not going to steal you a game.
No, I'm just kind of looking down the score sheet. Like Kevin Crowley had 3 assists. I think that's, you brought him in for a reason. I think you need him on the score sheet.
I don't see McCulley doing what McCulley did in Buffalo. I think they're trying to give him too big a role there, and it's not working. Because
Yeah.
McCulley as that gritty guy who's going to get things here and there, but he's going to open up lanes and do other things and fight if he needs to, and kind of be that moral cheerleader, which worked great with Buffalo and really played into the Bandit Land people and fans, and also helped get things motivated, which got the rest of the team going. Here, it's a different scenario, and it's a different scene, and it's a different crowd. And he had 1 assist, but he really hasn't gotten his legs there. I think he has a goal and a couple of assists since he's been there 4 games now. So
Yeah.
I think they want more than what he, as a player, can give them. But as a role player, I think they need to utilize him for the role that he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I maybe want to go back a little bit too to that Milwaukee rant, and he was talking about guys not, tapping their sticks when other guys score and really rallying around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a culture thing going on over there still?
Possible. It's possible. We still have a bunch of guys from the old Warriors, unless they change the whole thing altogether. That's still going to be part of it. But you'd figure with the Crowleys in there, with the Mitskis in there, guys who are not afraid to get into other guys' faces for, hey, we need to get going here. And Beers, these guys were brought in by Milwaukee for that purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's happening.
I don't think we're seeing it. That's the thing. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the highlights of this thing and see where we fell.
Here's the pass to Kevin Crowley. 1-on-1 down low. Backdoor scores! Guys just don't fit with other guys, and I think that's kind of the case. There's maybe a chance here and a quick whistle. Scores! And give it right back. Rotation comes from McClellan. Here's Charlemagne sliding in. Shot. Whoa, it's Martel in the dunk. Does that count? Yes, it does. Clip it for Martel. Mason Kirkness will claim a loose ball. He'll head off to the races. He might have numbers here off the Vancouver bench. In comes Bowering. He'll find ball. Shot scores. Reverse transition, and Vancouver answers right back to go in front 6-5. Not yet. Maybe now. Yes, and score it for Trill on a step-back suburb. Maybe a chance here as Martel storms off the bench. Here comes the trailer, and Charlemagne takes the feed, faking, scores! What a goal from Charlemagne! We're tied at 7.
Anything done on the offensive side of it.
Here's Messenger with a head of steam. Look out, scores! The hammer delivers a nail. Right past Aaron Bold, and the rush back in front.
To see them try to get Zach Mans open, get him a look. Been quiet tonight.
Keenan, man stepping in. Keenan over the top, scores. Oh, he just picked the top corner with absolute precision on the power play. And Keenan with a hat trick in the rush, lead by 2.
Those days, I do too. But those days are gone.
Yeah.
And even around the National Lacrosse League, you can't. There's no gimmies on the calendar.
Oh, Martel and a dip and dunk.
In a 2-goal game.
Yeah, just got to move your feet there. Kneznikov from long range. They like that one out in Langley.
And there you go. I noticed that the crowds are really, really coming out to these Vancouver games now.
They are. So, yeah. I guess if there's one positive, it's, since that rant, we've certainly seen their level of compete, skyrocket. So, I don't think this loss was for lack of a level of competing.
Right.
No, that's the difference you're seeing from say, the stealth days where they're getting blown out night in, night out. At least they're in it.
Yeah, definitely. But, they got to do something. I saw a lot of defensive breakdowns in there. So that's part of the problem, I think. Also, and I've seen it here in Toronto. I saw it when I was with Brampton. I saw it a bunch of times. Is that when you spend 5-8 minutes working as hard as you can, play after play after play to get a goal, and then a team just waltzes down 28 seconds and poof, scores. That is a kick in the teeth beyond kicks in the teeth. That just takes the wind right out of you, the morale right out of you. Because now you're going to go spend another 5 or 6 minutes trying and defending, and then they're just going to come back and whoop. Those things are just killers throughout a game.
And another thing too is the Rush had, even though they didn't do great on them, they were 2 for 6, but 6 power plays.
Yeah.
If that was a Halifax or a San Diego or a Toronto, and you gave them 6 power plays.
Yeah, this is a 19-9 game. So, yeah, there's a number of things. Discipline is another part of it, and that's Molosky's rant as well. That comes part of the tapping your sticks for guys, and frustration levels are high because you keep losing, but you have to reel it in.
Yeah.
But that comes down to the veteran leadership again, getting into these guys' faces, going, you need to be a team player. You're playing for the front, not the back of the jersey.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was a very sweet-looking jersey.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one point I was going to make, too. It was interesting we saw from the Rush side of things. Chiliano started to lose his head a little bit. And I thought, oh, boy, we've seen this story before, right?
Yeah.
But he held it together. Hopefully we don't see it again.
That is a Keenan factor.
Yeah.
There would be a television timeout in which he would be going, but Keenan's not going to rant and rave and scream. Keenan's going to be very calm and calm him down and get him back in net. That's a Keenan thing.
Well, that's the one point Jimmy Quinlan made the last game, is that's the factor that, like you said, Keenan brings, is that calm factor. Keenan's not the guy who's going to be jumping up and down the bench, yelling and screaming. He's even keeled through the whole game.
Yeah.
That's Jimmy Quinlan. Jimmy Quinlan. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's maybe where Jimmy Quinlan falls short a bit, is he still's got a little bit of that player fight in him, right? Where he can get fired up.
Yeah. Well, it works 6-0, right? With the two of them together on the bench.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie. All right. Let's have a look at what's upcoming. We don't have as big a week. There's only 5 games on the docket for next week, but a couple of really big ones. The first one is the Friday night game is Buffalo against Halifax. And that's one to circle on your calendars, because both teams have gotten, well, they've had their little spurts, and now they've righted the ships, and both are hot. So this should be a really interesting game. And both goalies have been looking great lately.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Then we got the Laval game also Friday night, which is Toronto against the New York Riptide. Again, the Rock coming off a loss to Calgary, in which really they didn't look Rock-esque. They didn't look good. Their offense wasn't rolling. Their transition game was bottled up. It was a Corey Small show. And then, of course, New York is just rolling. And talk about night and day. From the team that started at the beginning of the year that Toronto kicked around like a can to the team that they're going to face now, that's a whole different team.
Yeah.
Amazing how Stephen Keogh made that much of a difference. Because since he arrived, that's when this team turned it around.
You want to talk about leadership?
That's exactly my
perfect example. Yeah.
That was a Rich Lisk. We got to find a guy like that and get him. And sure enough, just that extra in-your-face tough guy who's going to lead by example, score any way he can, but also be a big enough force on that floor and in the dressing room where if you're not pulling your weight, he will put you in a corner. And
I'd say he's lit several fires under several guys.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You got guys who've done
Kyle
nothing.
Matisse, Larson Sundown, Matt Marinier. Look how Callum Jones and Zach Deacon are playing right now.
Let alone the other thing that we talked about is that right side needed awakening, and him alone has awoken that side, let alone getting everybody else there on fire too.
Yep.
And the defense and Dunkerley, again, it's a theme I keep coming back to, are on the same page. Maybe not all 60 minutes of it, but a lot more than it was at the beginning of the year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I watched Dunkerley get hung out to dry against Toronto the first time around over in Hamilton. And I haven't seen that type of a game. That might have been the awakening game. Because after that game, everything has looked much better and improving every single week for the Riptide.
That's the thing with the leadership is where you have to stand up in the defense and say, hey, you've got a young goaltender in Dunkerley. You can't do that to him.
That's also where having Ladisura as a head coach comes in too, because Laddie known for when he played his toughness and his stay-at-homeness. He had a few goals here and there, but that wasn't what he was there for. And that kind of idea. Remember, when he was with Georgia, he was the offensive coach because he knew what the defenses were doing, and it worked enough to win a championship. So, you're talking about a very high lacrosse IQ. And now, with these guys in and a Kehoe in there to help, marshal or sheriff what's going on, where it doesn't have to come from the head office, from the front office.
Yeah.
Now you got things, and your Legion, your Sergeant at Arms, if you want to call him that. He was the ultimate warrior here. I'll call him Sergeant Kehoe over in New York, and I think that's a huge thing. So this is going to be a big game to see how this plays out. We also have one more Friday game, and that is Philadelphia heading into Las Vegas. And again, two teams both playing inconsistent, but two teams that both have the talent. Another interesting one.
Yep.
We move into Saturday, and we have a pair of games there. We have Colorado against Albany. Smart money says Albany, but which Colorado team shows up in Albany?
True. And, now they have Albany has that weight of, hey, we open up the season. Now we're on our skid, What do we have to do to not make it like Rochester's?
Right the ship, yeah.
Very good point. And there's enough talent and there's enough gumption in there. And it's just, can they all get on the same page, really? It's weird. And is Jameson going to be back in net for Albany? That's the other big factor.
Yep.
With the bye week, maybe he's healthy enough he goes in. And you have Halifax on the back end of their double on the Sunday against Calgary. Weird. 7 p.m. Eastern game, according to the schedule. Somehow, that's 4 p.m. Western game is just, especially for Halifax, who are already in the time zone, is earlier than us.
Yeah.
Right? They're an hour earlier than we are here. So, oh my God, talk about getting your head screwed on backwards. So,
yeah,
I
wouldn't be surprised if they trek out right after the Buffalo game. Just
they would have to
give them a full day to reset there.
They'd have to, because they're playing in Halifax, right? So that's a long trek.
Yeah,
first
it's a long trek
all the way across the country, 2 different time zones. And again, a lot of these guys. The Austin Shanks, the Jake Withers, a lot of these guys are from the Ontario area. So you're going back an hour and then you're going you're going forward an hour, and then you're going back 3 hours. So your internal clock is completely messed up,
screwed up
by the time Sunday afternoon rolls around.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to need to, be on a totally different regimen of sleep and whatever. So the second that game's over in Halifax, they'll be on a plane to try and right the ship on Saturday and try and get a little acclimated to the time zone, and hopefully that they're good to go, full of energy on the Sunday. Weird schedule.
Yeah, and do we have a timetable on Randy Stotts to return?
They were talking about it on Friday, and they didn't give a set time, but he was close, they said. So who knows? Maybe this weekend, maybe the following. But the sooner the better. Mind you, they are rolling right now, but that's a huge piece that's not in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, just before we wrap up, just a reminder that this part of the program is brought to you by David R. Cherry.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, That number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David Archeri fight for your right.
Absolutely. Sue me, dog. Love that. Brilliance in advertising. Eh? Anyways, just to remind everybody that we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitch, we are on Thread, and we are on YouTube. And please head on over to YouTube. Tell your friends about YouTube. There's a lot of stuff up and a lot more stuff coming. Interviews, fights, retro games, our library of shows, and a whole bunch more. It is becoming more and more of a tool to be able to show more and more lacrosse things to y'all as quickly as we can. Come check us on Facebook 3, 4, 5 times a day, as the news is always changing. MSL is around the corner. WLA is around the corner, and we're going to get a whole lot more coming from them. WLA just had their draft, and so soon we will start hearing more and more about that. The PLL tournament is starting up in a couple of weeks, and we will have everything on that as well as it happens. And there should be more coming out of World Lacrosse for the World Indoor Lacrosse tournaments for both men and women upcoming. The Rubeski tournament is coming up in April. I will be there as well, and we will have everything for that. So there's a lot of news coming on everything that can keep your heart busy, as well as the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association. We should have some announcements partnering up with them as well to get as much information as we can with that. And, of course, NCAA down the road a little bit. Busy, eh, guys?
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention, we actually forgot that there was a couple of trades in WLA already in the offseason.
That's right, too.
We got that all on our Facebook page as well.
Yeah, and more going to be coming, believe me.
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be a lot of movement in MSL as well now that they have 7 teams. By the way, you guys know who the first overall pick was in the draft, right? For Owen Sound? Chris Riglieri.
All right, yeah.
He is with the Owen Sound North Stars, or whatever they're calling themselves. Owen Sound Lacrosse Club or whatever. Anything but bug juice. Joe Norton's MIA, so we don't know where he is. Whatever. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for coming by. It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you for those ugly, ugly, ugly jerseys. God, my eyes still hurt looking at those things. It was one of those do not adjust your set where you couldn't read the numbers or the names, just see bug juice all over it. I always love Stamp. Steven Stamp. Always I call him the Brampton BJs. You can't make this stuff up, guys.
No.
Anyways, next week we're back to 9 o'clock, our regular slot. There's 1 week at the beginning of March where it's going to be a little bit strange, probably a Monday night show because of flights for me to get back from San Diego, from doing the Vegas-San Diego rock excursion. But other than that, we are should be 9 o'clock Sunday nights for a good little while. I want to thank everybody, as always, for being with us week in, week out, day in, day out, and following us on eopsports.com/lacrosse, let alone our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram stuff, as well as YouTube. So thank you a million times over. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people you don't know that we are here, where you're going to get the whole game all the time, watched by all of us. Any last words, Shawn?
No, like you said, a lot of lacrosse news coming down the pipes, I'm sure, in the next few weeks, so I'm looking forward to it.
Still going with KC, eh?
Yeah, I think I have to, yeah.
Any last words, Mike?
Taylor Swift effect.
Taylor Swift is it, yes.
Yeah.
But look for an article, another panic button article for this year. Probably later this week. We're gonna take a look at some of these teams that are struggling and see if they need to push the panic button or just ride it out and
buyers or sellers. Here we go.
So,
yep.
Absolutely, that's going to be great. And we're going to have the last of the articles up for the weekend recaps later today. And wonderful, great work. This is the team, guys. And again, Mike, still going with San Francisco, right?
Yes.
I have to be the tiebreaker. I'm going with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift for the win.
Taylor Swift for the win, yeah.
The trophy is in her hand, but a big photo shoot. Let's see how correct I am.
Might get that type of publicity.
I really hope I'm wrong, man, because I don't want to put it in that realm. But, you know, what Vegas wants, Vegas gets.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, my ticket went to as soon as San Diego went the same way. Oh, well. Until next week, guys, for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw and for Muffler Mike in Connecticut, I am Gary Groob in Toronto. Wishing you guys a very, very good week. Remember, keep your stick in your hands. And until then, we'll see you next Sunday at 9 p.m. Take care.